Alright guys, welcome to part 3 of the Django Social Network project version 2.0, and in part 3 we are going to create the profile model. Then we are going to create a signal for creating profiles whenever the user is created, and we will create methods to the profile class and display the results in the test page. For example, we will display the proposals of people to follow, who we are currently following, who is following us, the number of posts that we created. Also, for example, for our profile page, we will need our posts. However, for the main board, we will need our posts plus the posts of people that we are following. Okay, so we will create those methods and more in this particular video. So without further ado, let's get started. Alright guys, so I'm at Visual Studio Code. I'm inside the Profiles application folder in the Models PY file. Over here, let's create our profile class, which inherits from models.model. And let's begin by defining the user field. So this is going to be a models one-to-one field, and we need to bring in the user model. So from Django contrib auth models, we want to import the user model. All right, so let's put it inside, and let's specify that on delete, we want to have models cascade. Okay, so whenever the user gets deleted, the profile will be deleted as well. And yeah, that is it basically. So we have our user defined. Right now we can focus on the avatar, and this is going to be a models image field. Let's say that we want to upload 2 avatars. So inside the media folder, we will have another folder called avatars, and here we will store the avatars of particular profiles. And let's set the default to avatar PNG. And I'm going to get this file later from Pixabay. So I'm going to download a particular file, name it avatar PNG, and then put it inside the media folder. All right, so this is going to be the default. And yeah, let's leave it like this. So we will also need to have a background, because we would also like for our profile to have an option to customize the background banner. All right, so let's put in background, and this is going to be exactly the same, or almost exactly the same, because we just need to change upload to backgrounds. And the default will be not avatar PNG, but background PNG. All right, so this is it. The next field will be a many-to-many field for following. So over here, we will have the information. We will keep the track of information on people who we are following. So this is going to be a many-to-many field. We will pass in the user, and we will set the related name to, let's call it the same as the field, so following. And let's set this as blank is equal to true, because at the beginning we won't be following anyone when the profile gets created, okay? Because we can have our profile without following anybody. All right, so this is it. Let's also add a bio, and this is going to be a models text field, and let's make this optional, or maybe let's do a default is equal to no bio. All right, and then we will have the updated. So now we are going to put in date and time fields. So date time field for updated and date time field for created, which will be added in a second. And here we need to pass in auto now is equal to true. And for the created, auto now add is equal to true. All right, so we will have the track of updates of our profile and when was the profile created. Perfect. As the next step, let's add a string representation. And for now, let's just maybe return str and let's pass in self user. Okay. So I think we are done with the profile. We will create some methods below in a few seconds or a few minutes. Let's now register this profile model. So we need to go to the admin. From .models, we want to import profile. And below, we need to put in admin site register. And we need to pass in the profile. All right, so let's go ahead and save this. I'm going to head over to Social Proj, to the settings, to check if we added profiles to the installed apps list. Yes, we did. So now we can go to the terminal, quit the server from running, Python manage py make migrations, and Python manage py migrate, and Python manage py run server. Okay, so let's go to the admin. Over here we are going to get the avatar and the background picture, but this is what we are going to do in just a second. Let's go to the admin. So this is where we finished last time. And let's log in. So let me do it very quickly. All right, and here are our profiles. So right now, let's add a profile to our user. So we have the user created. So let's add a profile to this user. So I'm going to select my user. And for those two fields, we will have the avatar PNG and the background PNG. But this is something that we will have to get from Pixabay, and we will do it in just a second. For now, let's try to save this profile. And I'm going to press save and continue. And there it is. All right, so let's actually now go to Pixabay. I just typed background in the search bar, and I'm going to choose as the default background image maybe this Milky Way image. So let me get it. All right, and for the avatar, I'm going to use this one. All right. So what I'm going to do is to bring them for now on the desktop, and this one I'm going to rename to avatar PNG. Oh no, and this is JPG. So I'm going to rename this to background JPG, because right now we have those defaults, avatar PNG and background PNG. However, if we press on it, we don't see it. Okay, so here is the URL, but we don't have this particular file. We have page not found. So hopefully this is obvious. So right now what I'm going to do is to copy those, and I'm going to access this virtual environment folder. I'm going to head over to source, to media, and I'm going to paste those images. And right now the avatar PNG should be working. We will have a problem with background JPG. So let me refresh. avatar PNG, there it is. And with background PNG, we still have page not found. Okay, so let's go back to Visual Studio Code, and let's go to Models PY. Let's change this to JPG. All right, let's save this. Let's go back to the terminal and Python manage py, make migrations, Python manage py, migrate, and Python manage py, run server. So now we can change this background image manually, but then the next time a profile will get created, the default will be not background PNG, but background JPG. And in a second, we will create a signal. So whenever a user is created, a profile to this user will be created with the avatar PNG and the background JPG. So this one, let's change manually. I'm going to head to the desktop and I'm going to select background JPG. I'm going to press save and continue. So right now in the path we have backgrounds and background JPG. Okay, so we have media, backgrounds, background JPG, and this is because I uploaded this background JPG. All right, so this is going to be the same background JPG as the default file. However, the default file will be stored directly in the media folder and this background JPG in the background. So actually we can see it for ourselves. Here is the background JPG, and this is going to be the default file for the next profile to the user that gets created. And inside we have the same file. All right. So hopefully this is understandable. As mentioned before, once we create the signal for the profiles to get created whenever a user is created, this background JPG will be taken directly from media folder, and we will look at it later. Okay, so actually right now what we can do is to create a signal. So we need to go back to Visual Studio Code. Inside the profiles, let's create a new file. So I'm going to put in signals.py. And here, let's begin from the imports. So first of all, what we need to do is to import our profile model. So from .models, we want to import the profile model, but we also need the user. So from Django contrib auth models, we want to import our user model, because based on the user, the profile will be created. And in order to actually set this signal, we need to import a proper one. And for this case, a perfect one is the post save signal. So let's bring it in. From Django db.models signals, we want to import post save, and we will use the receiver decorator. So we need to go to Django dispatch, and from here we will bring in the receiver. All right, so we can now use this decorator. We need to pass in the signal, so we want to use post save, and we need to indicate that the sender will be the user. All right, as the next step, let's create a function. Over here, let's put in a name that you can set on your own. I'm just going to put in post save create profile, and I'm going to pass in the sender. Then we will have the instance, and we will have the created as well as keyword arguments. Okay, so the very important check is to write if created. This created is true only when the user gets created. So it's only true one time. So once this is true, then we are going to write down profile objects create, where the user is going to be the instance of this user. So we are getting it from here. Okay, so this is the instance of the user, so we can set the user is equal to instance. Okay, so this is basically it. However, we are not done yet. We need to go to the apps.py file. Over here, we need to put in our ready method, and let's bring in our signals. So we need to import profiles, signals. Okay, so from profiles, we need to import the signals. Let's save this, and we need to go to our init.py file. I'm just going to copy this profiles config because we will need it in just a second. So let's head over to init.py, and here let's put in default app config is equal to, and then we will put in profiles. So we are here. Now we need to go to apps, and we will put this profiles config from apps. Okay, so right now everything should be set up. Let's hope this works. Let me check if I didn't make any silly mistakes. Here we have the ready method, profile signals, and with signals, post save, sender instance created. Everything should be working. So let's go back to Visual Studio Code. Let's go to users, and let's add a test user. So this is going to be test user, and here let's just fill out some password for this test user. Let's press save, and let's press save. So right now in the users we have 2 users, and let's go to the profiles, and we have 2 profiles. And as you can see over here, as mentioned before, we have now background JPG. Okay, so the path is media and background JPG, while if we go to my profile, we have backgrounds and background JPG, because this is the file that I uploaded manually. All right, so as the next step, I'm going to pause this video, and I'm going to create 10, maybe 12 users, and I would like to ask you to do the same thing. All right, so we will see each other in a few seconds. All right, guys, welcome back. So I created 12 test users, and I should have 12 profiles, and in fact I do. So before we actually start working on the cool stuff in the models.py file, where we will add methods to this profile class, let's create first our test view. So let's go to profiles, and over here I'm going to put in a simple function view. Let's call this profile test view, so we can understand exactly what we are doing once we will simply define the methods in the models.py file. So we will create this profile test view, where we are going to pass in a profile to the template, and then we are going to display the results of applying those methods in the template. So as mentioned before, we will have a better understanding what is happening. All right, so over here, let's, as the first step, grab the profile. So we need to actually import the profile. So from .models, we want to import profile. And let's write down profile objects get, and we want to get it by the user, and we will set the user to be the request.user. So this way we have the profile of the person who is logged in, of the user that is logged in, and now we can return render. Let's pass in the request. Then we need to specify the template, so I'm just going to put in profiles and maybe test profile HTML, something like this. HTML, and here we need to have a dictionary. So with the key profile, we will have the value of this variable. So to the key profile, we assigned the profile variable from over here, where we have the profile of the user that is logged in. Okay, and this profile will be passed to this template, but we don't have this template, so let's go to profiles, and here let's create templates folder. inside let's place profiles, templates, profiles, and inside the profiles let's place this test profile HTML. Okay, so here we will inherit from base HTML. Let's open up the block title first. Here let's just put in maybe test profile, and then in the block content let's display the profile. All right, so right now to actually have a view of this template, we need to save the template itself, we need to save the views, and we need to create a URL.py file so we can add this view to the URL patterns. And we are not going to do it directly in the social proj URLs. We will create a separate URL.py file in the profiles directory. So let's create the URL.py file over here, and from Django URLs we want to import path, and then from .views we want to import our test or profile test view. Yeah, that was the name. Let's specify the app name and let's set it to profiles, and here let's put in URL patterns, and let's open up a list, and here let's register this path as test. Let's pass in the profile test view, and let's set the name to be equal profile test, something like this. Okay, so right now we can save this URL.py file, and we need to include this URL.py file in the main URL patterns. So let's go to social project. This is our main project folder, and here is our main URL.py file. We already did this for posts, so let's do the same thing for profiles. I'm just going to copy this and do some changes. So here I'm going to put in profiles and include profiles URLs, not posts, and the namespace will be profiles. All right, so let's go ahead and save this, and let's see if this is working. So I'm going to I'm going to copy this maybe because we will need to work with Django admin. So I'm just going to access our main URL from here. Okay, so this is what we did in the last one. And now if we want to go to our view and the template, we need to head to profiles and test. And here is my profile. Okay, so this is working, and right now I think we are ready to work on the methods. So let's go back and let's open up the models.py file. And now the working system will be like this, that we will create a method and we are going to simply display the results in the test profile. All right, so we can begin maybe from something very simple. Let's get all the posts of the user, of the particular user. So we need to create a method called, let's say, get my posts, which takes in self, and here we can return and then self, and the trick is right now to do a reverse relationship, to get the reverse relationship, because right now if we take a look at the profile, here we don't have any access to posts. Okay, we have user, avatar, background, following, bio, updated and created, but we don't have any access to posts. So if we go to posts, to the models, over here we have the post class, and here is a comment for us to not forget about the author. Okay, so actually what we need to do is to fill it out. Last time we didn't have the profile, so right now we can actually do a models foreign key to the profile. So we need to bring in the profile from profiles models. We want to import the profile. Let's pass it in. And this is going to be our access point, all right? This author field, because here we have the profile. And yeah, I'm going to set on delete, and this is going to be models cascade again. Okay, so let's go ahead and save this. In the profiles, I'm just going to put in pass for now. In order to go back to the terminal, quit the server from running, Python manage py make migrations, and I'm going to quit. All right, and I'm going to go back, and I'm going to go to models, and here I'm going to put in null is equal to true, and Python manage py make migrations one more time, and Python manage py migrate, and Python manage py run server. Okay, so we can actually go back to our models, and we can get rid of this pass and instead put in return, and then let's go to self. And right now we need to do a reverse relationship. So this is how we do it. We put a model, the model name, and set. And then we are just grabbing all of the posts in this case. So we should do it like this: post set all. All right, so I'm going to try it out. Okay, so one more time, post, because we are referring to the post class where we have the author field, and here we have the profile. This is our access point. And then I'm going to show you in a second how to do it a little bit differently. All right, so let's go back to models, self, post set all, everything should be working. So as the next step, we can actually go to our test profile and bring in this get my posts. So I'm going to copy this, and I'm going to put it over here. I'm going to save this, and let's see if this will work. And we have a query set, however, it is empty. So let's go to posts. We created 3 so far, and we didn't have the author, so it was null. The author field was null. This is what we've set. So I'm going to save one. I'm going to save the second one. I'm going to set my profile and save the third one as well. And now I'm going to hit refresh, and there it is. So we have post, and this is the primary key. This is our string representation. This is the model. This is the class, okay? And we have post 1, post 2, and post 3. If I change the author over here to test user, we will have post 2. If I go to posts, to models, and change the primary key to, for example, maybe I have some problems with my mouse. I'm sorry about this. All right, now everything is working. Sorry guys about this technical issue. So one more time, and if I would change the string representation over here from primary key to, for example, body, I'm going to save this and go back, hit refresh. We would see the body over here. Okay, so this is our string representation, and this is our class. Hopefully this is obvious. So let's put in self pk, and let's also change this post 3, and so the author could be me. All right. And also, in order to have the results displayed in a nicer way, maybe we can go back to our template, to our test profile, and over here I'm going to add a paragraph. Inside I'm going to add a bolded font, and we will have something like, inside the bolded tag, my posts maybe. And then I'm going to bring this over here. All right, so here we need to close off this bolded tag, and let's save this. And there it is. So this is the first method that we actually created. All right, so and now that we have our posts, we can actually very easily get the number of posts. So in our case, below we should have number of posts, number of our posts, and we should see 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so in order to do this, let's go to the models in our profiles directory, and below let's put in get, or I'm just going to put this as num posts, number of posts, and this will take in self, and we will simply return self post set all, and at the end I'm going to add count. And maybe let's do this with the property decorator. So this won't be a big difference to us, but with this property decorator, this method over here will be treated as a field. Okay, so this is not a Django thing, this is Python. So yeah, let's try it out. So I'm going to save models.py file, and I'm going to copy all of this, and here we will have my posts number, something like this maybe, and here we will have num posts. All right, so I'm going to save this, I'm going to hit refresh, and here we have profile object has no attribute post set. So I have, what have I done? I accidentally deleted this post set all. And by the way, I told you that I would show you another way how to do a reverse relationship. So I'll do it in just a second. Let's save this and let's hit refresh to see if this will do the trick. Okay, and we have my post number 3. Let me make this maybe a little bit bigger so you can see better. Okay, and before we create another method, let's actually do this in a little bit different way. So we can go to posts, to models, and for the author we can add a related name. Okay, we can put inside the foreign key related name and set it, for example, to posts. Okay, so if we go back to the terminal, quit the server from running, Python manage py make migrations, and Python manage py migrate, and Python manage py run server. Let's hit refresh, and right now we have profile object has no attribute post set. So right now this doesn't work, and we can easily make it work with the use of the related name. So if we go to profiles, to models, here we just need to put instead of post set, posts. Okay, posts. Let's save this, let's refresh, and there it is. Okay, so it's working again. And then if we go back to posts, we can get rid of this related name, save this one more time, Python manage py make migrations, and Python manage py migrate, and Python manage py run server. So right now, if I refresh it, again, it won't work. So we need to actually use, if we go to the profiles, we need to use post set. Okay, and I'm going to stick to post set. So I'm going to save this, and one more time, let's hit refresh, and there it is. Okay, so as the next step, let's go to our models py file inside the profiles application folder, and let's get the following. Okay, so here we have the many-to-many fields. So this is going to be another easy method to do. Get following, and this will take in self, and let's return self, and then we need to refer to this following. Let's put in following all. Okay, so this is for getting the following, the people in the following field, and this will be a query set. So if we would like to have it as a list, we can create another method. Maybe let's call it get following users, something like this. And here we will pass also self. But before we actually return something, we need to have a following list to return. So let's create this list with the use of list comprehension. So I'm going to put in P as profile for P in self, and then I'm going to refer to this get following, and as the next step, I'm going to return, and I'm going to return the following list. All right, so I'm going to save this, and I'm going to see if this is working. So I'm just going to maybe copy this, and I'm going to put it below the test profile. So I'm now going to copy those two, paste them below, and here we will have following profiles, and I'm going to put in get following, and here we will have following profiles list, and here I'm going to put in get following users. All right, so I'm going to now save this, and let's see, what do we have? We have an empty query set, and we have an empty list right now. Okay, so if I go to my profile and I'll decide that I want to follow test user and maybe test user 9, then I'm going to simply maybe save this and continue editing, and then I'm going to hit refresh. We have test user 9. So I didn't I clicked just the test user 9, and if I want to also follow test user, I have to press the command. So maybe I'll follow test user 8, test user 7. So on Mac, if you want to follow manually from the Django admin, you need to press in command key, and then simply decide what users you want to follow. So I'm going to follow these 3, and I'm going to press save and continue editing. And right now, if I hit refresh, I have test user 7, test user 8, test user 9 in a query set. And here, the following profiles list, I have the list of those users. Okay, the list of those objects. Okay, so right now we can actually go back. Let's go back to profiles and models. Let's see if this will be working. If we get rid of the parentheses, I'm going to save this, hit refresh, and then over here we have method object is not iterable. All right, But then if I would use this property, this method will be treated as a field, and this should work. So as you can see, it works in fact, okay? This is because of this property over here, all right? So if I delete it, this will be treated as a method, not a field anymore. So over here, I need to add the parentheses, and let me save this, and this will work as well. As you can see, it does. All right, so as the next step, let's do a little bit more complicated one. Let's get all the posts of our own and the following users. So let's put a method get maybe my and following posts, and this will take in self. Okay, so the first thing is to get the users that we are following. So we can create a list with the use of list comprehension, and user for user in, and then self get following like this. So here we will have all the users that we are following, and then let's create an empty list for the posts. And as the next step, let's initialize query set to none. And right now we can make a loop for a particular user in this users list. So I'm going to put in for u in users, okay? What I'm going to do first is to grab the profile of each one of those users. So I'm going to set a variable p, and this is going to be profile, and then objects get, where the user is equal to you. All right. As the next step, I'm going to grab the posts of this particular profile. So I'm going to set a variable p posts as post of the particular profile, and here I'm going to put in p and then post set all. Okay, so we learned about this before. Hopefully this is understandable. And then I'm going to append the posts of a particular profile to the posts list. Posts, append, and then let's pass in the p posts. Okay, so what we did over here is to first of all get the list of the users that we are following, and then we loop through this list. We got a profile of this particular user. We got then the posts of this particular profile, and we appended it to the empty post list. But this is for the following people, the people for who we are following, sorry. But we also need our own posts. So let's put in another variable, my posts, and this is going to be self posts set all. And right now, we can also append this to the posts list, my posts. Okay, so right now the problem will be that we will have those posts organized by the following and my posts, and we want them to be mixed up by the date, okay, by the created. So if we go over here, we want them to be organized by the created date. So in order to do this, we need to make an import. So let's do it in line 3. From iter tools, we want to import chain, okay, and then we can go down, and over here what I'm going to do first is actually to check if the length of posts is greater than 0. And in this case, what we are going to do is to change this query set over here. We are going to set query set as sorted. Then I'm going to pass in chain, I'm going to unpack the posts that we have over here with this star over here. I'm unpacking the posts. After a comma, I'll set reverse is equal to true, and I have to set the key that will be an anonymous lambda function, lambda, and then I'm going to put in obj and obj created. All right. So yeah, we will check if this actually works in just a second. Let me see if I didn't make any mistake. QS, then chain, we unpack the post, reverse is equal to true, and then key lambda obj created. Okay, hopefully everything should work, but we still need to return the query set like this. So this one was a little bit more difficult one. Let's see if this is working. So I'm going to copy this, bring it into the template. I'm going to copy this line, and I'm going to do some changes. So here we will have my posts plus posts of following users. Okay. Let's save this. Let's refresh and reverse. Okay. Reverse. I forgot about the E. All right, let's try it again. And here we are. So we have post 3, post 2, post 1. But we don't see any posts of the users because we actually didn't create any posts for those users. So we are following test user 7, test user 8. So right now, let's go to posts. And let's say that post number 2, this test post 2, was created by test user 7. Okay, so let's save this. And over here, as you can see, we still see this post 2. But then let's change this post 2, the author of the post 2, to, for example, test user 5. We are not following test user 5. So basically, this post 2 should disappear. We should only see post 3 and post 1. So let's go to post 2 and let's change the author to test user 5. Okay, let's refresh, and there we have it. We have post 3 and post 1. Okay, but I'm going to set it to test user 7 so that we can actually distinguish my posts from my post plus posts of following. So let me refresh. We don't see. Oh, I pressed liked accidentally. So this is why I got confused. Right now, test user 7. Let me press save, and once I refresh, we should see post 2 in the my post plus post following user section. So let's refresh, and there it is. Okay, so right now we can distinguish this from this. All right. As the next step, let's get the proposals for following. All right. So we would like to have maybe on our profile page suggestions who we can actually follow. So let's create maybe get proposals for following, get proposals for following method, and let's pass in self. And over here, I'm going to grab the profiles. So we want all the profiles except our own. So I'm going to put in profile objects all, and then I'm going to put in exclude. And as the user, I'm going to put in self.user. So right now we should have all the profiles except our own profile, because we don't want to follow ourselves. We want to follow the profiles available. So as the next step, we actually need to have the followers list in order to later get the available list. I'm going to explain this in just a second. So first of all, we are going to create the followers list. So basically, the people who we are following. Okay, so P for P in self and then get following. Okay, so right now, if we take a look at Django administration, if we take a look at my profile, we are grabbing those three users. But then those three users we are already following. We are actually interested in the rest of the users, the ones that aren't selected. Okay, so test user 6, test user 5, test user 4, test user 3, and so on. We need to grab all these. Our profile, our user has been excluded. Okay, so we need to get all the users from test user up to test user 6. And in order to do this, we are going to set a variable available, and this is going to also be a list. So here I'm going to put in p user for p in profiles. Okay, so we are referencing this profiles list, and then we need to do an if check, if p user not in where? Not in the followers list. So we are grabbing over here all the users that are not on the followers list, and also we are excluding ourselves this way. Okay, P for P in profiles, over here we excluded our own, and then we are doing an additional check if the profile user isn't on this followers list. Okay, and if this profile user isn't on the followers list, that means we are not following him or her, and we are adding to the available. And finally, we need to return the available, but let's return maybe the three proposals, not all the proposals. Let's return only 3, and if we bring in random, we can actually shuffle those proposals. So what I'm going to do is to put in random shuffle, and we can pass in available, and right now everything should be working. So I'm going to save this, copy this method, bring it into the test profile. I'm going to copy this, and here we will have proposals for following, and we need to use this method over here. So now I'm going to save this, refresh, and there it is. Test user 10, test user, and test user 6. None of those users on the following list. If I refresh, we should have 3 other proposals. Test user 5, test user 10, test user 2. Okay, so the order changes because we shuffle the available list. And this is exactly what we wanted to accomplish. This will be very useful for our project later. Okay, so as the next step, let's do maybe a simple method. We will have the following count. So here we have get following. Let's just count the following because we actually forgot about this step. So what I'm going to do is to make it as a property, and here we will have following count, which takes in self, and let's return self and then get following count, and let's let's test this out. So following count. Let me do it one more time. Sorry, guys. And here, let's use this following count. And here, number of people following. That number of people that we follow, maybe. Okay, so let's save this. Let's refresh. Number of people that we follow. Perfect. Here is our following profiles list, 1, 2, 3, and here is the result 3. Okay, so as the next step, let's get the followers, all right? So let's go to models, and here let's create get followers method, which will take in self. And the first thing is to just create the query set from all the profiles. So profile objects all, okay? And as the next step, let's create a followers list. And let's make it an empty list for now, because we are going to loop through the profiles list. So profile in QS. And here what we need to do is to do another check. If self user in profile and then get following, in this case, we would like to add this particular profile to the followers list, all right? So followers list append, and let's pass in the profile. And if this got you confused, I'm going to explain this in just a second, and then let's return the followers list. Okay, so over here we have all the profiles and we have an empty list. We are looping through the query set. We are taking a single profile, and then we are checking if the self user, so in other terms, if our user is in the profile get following, okay? So we are checking if we are on the following list of profiles that we are looping through. And if we are on that list, we are adding the profile to the followers list. And here we are returning the followers list. So this is basically how it looks like. We need to check where we are on the followers list. So to make this a little bit more practical, what I'm going to do is to access test user 2, and I'm going to add myself to the following list of the test user 12, all right? So basically right now, I should have 1 follower. I'm going to save this, and before we actually try this out, let's also do the followers count. So below, I'm going to create another method. Maybe let's do it with property. And I'm going to put in followers count. And I'm going to put in self. And here we need to simply return. Let's open up length, because we want to have the length of self, and we will refer to the get followers. Okay, we can do it like this because here we are returning a list, and here we are just taking the length, the size of the list. So now I'm going to save this, and I'm going to copy those two. I'm going to access test profile HTML. I'm going to paste those two over here. And let's copy those two. Let's paste them. And here we will have followers, our followers or my followers. and here we will have number of my followers. So let's put in get followers here and followers count over here. Let's see if this is working. I'm going to save this, refresh, and there it is. So my followers, test user 12, and now I have 1 follower. So if we go to test user 11, and if I add myself to that test user 11 following list, I should have 2 followers. So I'm going to press save. I'm going to hit refresh, and there it is. Okay, so right now I have 2 followers because test user 12 and test user 11 has my user on their following list. Okay, so this is basically how this is working. And I think we can finish off over here. It was a very long tutorial. I hope you guys enjoyed it. We will work on it more in the upcoming part. So thank you for this one. Have a great day and see you soon. Take care and bye-bye.